As Song Weilong stepped onto the stage with Zhao Jinmai at the Beijing TV Gala, something felt different. It wasn't just the presence of two popular young stars. It felt like the beginning of a story that had only been whispered about. Their first glance was caught by accident, but that was precisely where it all began. It wasn't the usual gaze between two colleagues. There was a slight pause, a faint, restrained smile, as if they knew their every move would be analyzed by millions of eyes. And the public immediately picked up on it. The audience watching the live broadcast felt an inexplicable energy. Even before they spoke a word, the atmosphere shifted. It was like there was a hidden message, unspoken, but clear enough for those paying attention. As the two stood side by side on stage, the distance between them seemed precisely calculated. Not too close, but not cold either. Every movement felt deliberate, from the way they turned their heads to how they responded to the host's questions. What made it all the more intriguing was Song Weilong's choice of words. There were no firm denials, no lengthy clarifications. Just short, ambiguous answers, and enough to pique the public's curiosity. Zhao Jinmai, on the other hand, displayed a composure that was almost too perfect. Her smile never completely faded, but there were tiny moments where her expression changed, as quick as a camera flash, and it didn't go unnoticed by fans. Social media exploded within minutes of their performance. Short clips, screenshots, and even micro-expression analyses spread like wildfire. Every second of their interaction was replayed, slowed down, and endlessly discussed. Many began comparing that night to their previous performances. And the more they compared, the clearer it became. This wasn't the usual. Something had changed, something that could no longer be completely hidden. Some longtime fans admitted they had long suspected a special connection between them. But that night felt like a turning point. It was as if all the little clues that had been scattered all along were finally pointing to the same conclusion. Interestingly, there was no confirmation, no confession. But that was precisely what made it all feel even more real. Because sometimes, what isn't said speaks loudest. Behind the scenes, reports from those present began to emerge. Their interactions were said to be much more relaxed and natural when the cameras weren't fully on them. There were small laughs, brief conversations, and a closeness that was hard to fake. However, once the cameras were back on, the two seemed to revert to their respective roles: professional, controlled, and calculated. This contrast only fueled the speculation. Many wondered, was this a strategy? Or was there something they wanted to keep out of the public eye? In the Chinese entertainment industry, the line between private life and public image is often very thin. But if this was just a coincidence, why did it feel so structured? Why did every small moment seem like part of a larger story? Some entertainment analysts even called that night a wordless confession moment. A situation where the truth didn't need to be officially announced to be felt. Clearly, the impact was enormous. Song Weilong and Zhao Jinmai's names immediately dominated trending topics. Discussions about them were not just on one platform, but across the entire digital ecosystem. For fans, it was a moment both satisfying and confusing. They were getting something they had been waiting for, but without any real certainty. Meanwhile, for both of them, that night could be a pivotal point in their careers. Every step after this will be scrutinized more closely, every interaction analyzed more deeply. Will they speak more openly in the future? Or will they choose to keep the public guessing? What's certain is that that night at the Beijing TV Gala left a lasting impression. It began with the usual glitz and glamour, but ended with a huge question mark hanging over the horizon. And to this day, one question still resonates in everyone's minds. Were we just witnessing the beginning of something real, or was it just an illusion too beautiful to ignore? However, if we look deeper, there's one detail that's not widely discussed but feels most telling: the way they simultaneously avoid and draw closer to each other. This isn't a pattern easily engineered. There's a natural instinct at play, something usually only seen in two people who have grown accustomed to each other outside the public eye. Several cameras captured the moment Song Weilong reflexively turned to Zhao Jinmai before answering a question. It was only a split second, but it was enough to spark new speculation. It was as if there was a small habit he couldn't hide, even amidst the pressure of a major event. On the other hand, Zhao Jinmai seemed to hold back her expressions several times, like someone trying to keep a secret in public. Her smile remained intact, but her eyes told a much more revealing story. And that's precisely where fans found the code they believed to be proof. As the event progressed and segments passed, the public's attention was no longer focused on the gala as a whole, but on these two figures alone. Even other moments felt like the backdrop to a larger story, one that was never announced, but shared. What made the situation even more intriguing was how neither of them ever fully denied the rumors. In the entertainment world, silence is often more meaningful than lengthy statements. And that night, their silence felt particularly meaningful. Some netizens began piecing together old pieces, past interviews, interactions at other events, and even cryptic comments on social media. It all reassembled, like a puzzle that finally found its shape after that night. Many also felt that this was a very clever strategy. By not providing a definitive answer, they actually created even greater curiosity. The public continued to talk, the media continued to focus, and their names remained at the top of the spotlight. But behind all the analysis and theories, there was one simple, often overlooked possibility. What if this was real? What if all those moments weren't part of a strategy, but rather small pieces of a real, growing relationship? And if that were true, then the night at the Beijing TV Gala wasn't just another entertainment event. It was the beginning of a new chapter that quietly unfolded before millions of eyes, leaving a trail that would continue to be talked about long after the stage lights went out. As time passed after that night, the reverberations of that moment didn't subside. They grew. Discussions that were initially filled with speculation slowly turned into conviction for some. Each new appearance by Song Weilong and Zhao Jinmai was now viewed through a different lens. In subsequent interviews, there was no drastic change in their demeanor. But it was precisely this consistency that made the public even more convinced. They remained calm, remained professional, but the aura between them never quite returned to what it was before. Some fans began to say that their relationship, whatever it was, felt too real to deny, but too fragile to announce. The phrase spread widely, becoming a sort of epitome of what many felt after that night at the Beijing TV Gala. Beneath all the public attention and pressure, a deeper question arose: what it would be like to be in their shoes. When every glance, every pause, even every small smile had a meaning magnified 1,000-fold by the public. And perhaps that's the crux of it all, that not every story needs to be explained openly to be understood. Sometimes, just one night full of hints can leave an indelible mark on the minds of two people.